The ANC NEC will hold a meeting this weekend. It's the first meeting since the Women's League's president, Bathabile Dlamini, was found guilty of perjury. It also comes as the party is planning its national elective conference to be held in December. We're joined now by the party spokesperson, Pule Mabe, for more on the weekend's events. Thank you very much for availing yourself this afternoon. So which issues are on the agenda for this weekend's NEC?
Well, afternoon and afternoon to your viewers. We did issue a statement yesterday detailing some of the issues which will be on the agenda. This includes the status of convening regional and provincial conferences which are due, our program of action on renewal, the framework on our response towards the recommendations of the Commission on state capture, dealing with organizational design, especially at our headquarters, including all our other offices, which has got an impact on our own staffing component and how we run our own staffing and our ability to be able to finance and run internal activities of organization, as well as getting reports on the status of conferences of the ANC Youth League, the ANC Women's League, and the ANC Veterans League, including getting a report from the Electoral Commission led by Chairperson Kgalema Motlanthe on the work that they had to do around disputes arising out of the 2021 local government elections, as well as the work that we had said they must do as the National Executive Committee, which is to set out a framework on how we should run the elective part of the 55th National Conference. The National Working Committee had already said earlier today to process some of the issues that the National Executive Committee would have to really process as well, or really take a view on as well. We'll also be looking into issues of international relations. There's actually a lot happening around the international space. Just on the 23rd, we commemorated the 34th anniversary of the Kwitokwane Valley, which was further endorsed by the 38th sitting of SADC's summit of the SADC heads of state, which had actually said that we should have that day being declared the Liberation Day for the rest of the continent.
You touched on the status of conferences, and some provinces have not been able to hold their elective conferences. Which provinces have confirmed that they will indeed be going to conference, and when?
Well, I'm not sure I'm not sure what to make when you say some conferences have not been able to hold conferences, because you'd recall that the reason why our conferences have not been able to sit in part was because of the COVID-19 conditions. All of our 8 provinces are going to their conferences, which is the Northwest, the Eastern Cape, Mpumalanga, Limpopo, Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal, I think even the Eastern Cape, the Western Cape as well. The only province that has really gone to its conference is the Northern Cape. All other provinces have been sitting their own regional conferences. BGMs are ongoing across all the 8 provinces where conferences are supposed to be held, including where regional conferences are also expected to be held. We are supposed to be holding about 33 regional conferences. So there's quite intense organizational work going on. Our own organizing machinery here at Old Office, led by Comrade Senzo and Comrade Nomvula, are working tirelessly to make sure that they could be able to give the necessary support required by provinces and regions. Where there are issues of disputes, we also act with the necessary speed to make sure that every member of the ANC who is supposed to be in a meeting is not excluded because of whatever differences that could be existing on the ground. because we want everyone who's a member of the ANC to feel that process of the ANC, including the new membership system, that it can accommodate them and allow them to participate in the full political life of the African National Congress.
On the disputes, Mr. Mabe, that you mentioned, if you continue to see legal action being taken by your provinces, what will it mean for the National Elective Conference in December?
Well, the ANC has, at least now in recent times, understood the litigious nature of some of its own processes. So we have worked to make sure that we reinforce those. I mean, there are those that really use legal processes to try and resolve political issues because they are unable either to emerge or find themselves within political process of organization. And we've been able to expose such. I mean, there are a number of precedences where even the courts themselves have ruled in favor of the African National Congress against those that would have gone to court. So the ANC is unfazed by those who might want to approach the courts for its own process. We believe that our own processes are democratic and transparent enough to allow for everyone to participate. This is what we've done. Post the 54th National Conference, we established the National Dispute Resolution Committee of the African National Congress, which has been led by the Deputy Secretary General, to make sure that where there are disputes that cannot be presided or adjudicated over by the NDCA, we allow the NDCRA to be able to preside over those.
Please allow us, before we let you go, to ask of Ms. Gwen Ramokgopa, has she been deployed to the Office of the Secretary General? Before we let you go, to ask of Ms. Gwen Ramokgopa, has she been deployed to the Office of the Secretary General?
Yes, of course. She comes in. You know, Comrade Gwen is a member of the National Executive Committee. She also serves in the National Working Committee, which, through the constitution of the ANC, is expected to conduct the day-to-day running of affairs of the African National Congress. She comes in there to reinforce the office more at a coordination level. There are a number of activities or responsibilities, including sitting in certain committees, that would have been apportioned or left to the DSG. But in her absence, and we must wish her well, our officials have gone to see her and deliver well wishes on behalf of the National Executive Committee, and we hope that she will be able to bounce back more stronger. So we needed to have an extra pair of hands working with the Treasurer General to also be able to fill in the other voids that could have arisen out of the DSG not being there, sitting in the chairing of your NDCRA, sitting in the deployment committee, because the TG, while is the overseer of the work of the SGO, now in the absence of the DSG, who's also our acting Secretary General in the absence of our Secretary General, also has other responsibilities that are associated with his position in the organization. He has to raise funds, make sure that our financial health is in good shape. In doing that work, he still has got to ensure that as part of the work of the SGO, he also still has to sign off credentials, make sure that disputes that would have arisen are accordingly resolved, and that everything else that is being done assures everyone in the organization that this organization will not allow any form of manipulation. And to show you that we are even serious in dealing with manipulation, where such instances of manipulation of our own systems of organizing these conferences, running of our membership system, where it arises out of those that are in BECs or are in our own employ, we then enforce the necessary disciplinary measures to make sure that appropriate action is taken. Because we want everyone to know that the ANC belongs to them and that processes and systems of the ANC are sufficient enough to enable their participation.
And just finally, well, we appreciate that it's still early days, but are her efforts, boosting your plans as a party for the December conference?
Yes, of course. I mean, we are working around the clock for the 55th National Conference. Comrade Kgalema, in his capacity as the chair of the Electoral Committee, will be briefing the National Executive Committee on a broad framework and seeking for them to endorse such. This broad framework will effectively be dealing with the elective part of that conference. The Treasurer General of the African National Congress, Comrade Pule Mabe, has already assembled a Congress preparatory committee which has been endorsed by the National Executive Committee. We have already had our first meeting to now begin looking into issues of logistics around venues, the number of delegates that are expected to attend conference, how we will run communications around that whole conference, issues of security and all of that. So work towards our national conference is already afoot. I mean, the ANC is the 110th year this year, so it has got to make sure that it even starts early to prepare for its own national conferences. We are hoping and wishing all our provinces and our regions well, because you were saying? Am I still on the line?
Yes, you are, please. Please finish your thought.
Am I still on the line?
Yes, you are, please. Please finish your thought.
Okay, yes. So I was saying that we are hoping that our regional and provincial conferences will also be held in a much more conducive and safer environment, because they are a building block towards the national conference of the ANC. I know you said this is our last bite, but something important happened today. There was judgment handed out on the Pule case. We'll also want to weigh in on that one as well.
Please do.
Can we weigh in on that? Yes, we wanted to just convey our support to the Pule's family and commend the judges for the judgment that was arrived at, the courts for the judgment that was arrived at today. We hope that this sends a strong message that we are serious in this country about dealing with the scourge of gender-based violence. We also want to thank the many formations, the civil society formations that had organized themselves around the justice for Pule. Our structures of the ANC Youth League, ANC Women's League, for working hard with those communities, going to courts tirelessly to give support. Those two men who first made the discovery. We hope and believe that this now sends a strong message to the perpetrators of these horrendous acts of gender-based violence, that South Africa has got no room for such men. We have now turned our eyes to May, when the courts are now going to be issuing or sentencing on the matter. We hope that in issuing that sentencing, they will send a stern warning and a message to those who could be having these ideas to desist from doing so.
Pule Mabe speaks for the African National Congress.